Welcome back to episode 3 of the Real Estate Den. Megan, Michelle, and Amanda are here, and today we have joining us, we have Jessica and Robert. Bob, do you prefer Bob or Robert? I keep going between the two.
Always Bob, since I
Always
was a little.
Bob.
Yeah, I don't even know why they even named me Robert, quite honestly.
Awesome. So we'll just hop right into it. Bob, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us when you got into the business, and let's get to know you a little bit.
Okay, I live in Chesapeake, Virginia, which is essentially outside of Norfolk, Virginia Beach. Obviously, we are known for large military presence. I've lived here all my life. I've been in the industry full time since 2007. I technically, I would say I specialize in bank owned and short sales and listings across the board. So I absolutely love what I do. I've been blessed to be solo and successful over the years and hope to continue to.
Awesome. And then Jessica, tell us about you and your time in the business, and let's get to know you.
Thanks for having me. I am the broker of Tour Properties, and I started back in, gosh, 2015. I'm going on 8, 9 years. I started on a team as a buyer's agent, and I was there for 6 years. And I actually went through burnout pretty hardcore and quit my team and jumped right into my own brokerage to work for myself. And so now I have a handful of agents, and we focus on just referral-based business. So yeah, we love it in Nashville, where I was raised, native.
Awesome. So you're both natives to where you sell real estate. That's exciting.
Yeah.
What so when did you break off and start your own business, Jessica?
It was end of 2020. I guess 2021. Well, yeah, 2021, April is when I got my broker's license and started my own business. At the end of 2020, I had my best year ever, but mentally was not my best year ever. I don't think it was a lot of people's best year ever, but everyone, like, financially and business wise. But at the very end, I just was overwhelmed, doing too much, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. And I just quit my team. I was like, I'll finish all my deals out. I think I had 12 under contract, and it was November, and by February of the next year, I was done with the deals and started my own thing, which I always knew I wanted to be a broker and work for myself. But I think it's scary if you built your whole career with one team and you have this really great setup, and you're like, how do I do anything else? Let it work for yourself and then also start a brokerage. But I just kind of jumped into the deep end.
What would you tell yourself then? Like, if you could go back and talk to yourself then, what would you tell yourself now that you know what you know?
Oh gosh. I think it's really surprising. I always tell people I love the fact that I started on a team because I got a lot of support and I got a lot of experience doing a ton of deals, doing 30 plus deals a year. I didn't mind the commission split. We had a transaction coordinator, marketing, all that stuff. So I got so much experience that my friends, weren't getting, being on a team. But also running in one lane, you really specialize. I had a really great, our market was really hot then, so I had a really great experience with buyers, but not experience in other, other jobs like property management or listings. Like, I'd never even had a sign with my name on it or, done a 1-day code on a lockbox. We had someone who did all that. So here I am jumping off into, like, the deep end. So I think I would have probably had a team or like started my own thing, like focused on my team before I really started a brokerage. I wanted to just I was like, if I'm going to do it, I might as well just do it under my own name, which sounded, it made sense at the time. And I would have started my brokerage, maybe just focused on building my team before I took on any agents. Because then you start focusing on helping your agents because you're responsible for them. And I have a really heavy weight of responsibility. And I never really understood why big teams weren't just the broker. Like, why didn't they start their own brokerage? But the liability in the agency, you become Switzerland. If anyone brings a buyer to your seller, you're now the facilitator. And so it was like, I was like, now I get it. And so it took a lot of distraction away from my own clients, like helping the agents. And so I wish I would have established myself as an independent, agent in my database first, before taking on agents, because it was just a lot at once, trying to market and figure out both, if that makes sense.
And I think the consumer too gets a little confused when you make that jump from agent to managing broker. They're like, what? Like who,
Everyone always asks who's on my team. They're like, how many people you have on your team now? And I'm like, and then you always are like, well, it's not my team.
right.
They're their own agents. And, it looks like you have like 8 people on your team and you're like, well, they're their own agents and it works, you have to explain how it works. And it's just like, like
Their eyes
it's very-
glaze over and you're like, never mind. It's just, don't worry about it.
Yeah, you're like,
Send me all
you're
your-
like 7. I have 7 people on my team. And you're just whatever.
Please send me all your buyer and real estate leads. Cool. Well, Bob, I will not call you Robert again, I promise.
No worries.
Before we're on the show, we were kind of getting to know each other and you mentioned your previous career. So I kind of want to ask about like that. Can you tell me what drew you to real estate from what your previous career was and what drew you to real estate from that career? And then if there's anything that you grabbed from your previous career and brought it to this one.
So previously I was a chemist for 9 years. Quite honestly, I was miserable. Now you also have to understand that I started on the plant and then worked my way into the lab, just based on, apparently, I guess, on brains alone. I don't know. So I did not have a degree. So what I discovered was when they started me towards my degree, because they were paying for it, I'm sitting in freshman chemistry. I've got a lab coat with my name on it. I've got all my own supplies, and I am absolutely miserable. So I realized I needed to do something different. I could not sit here for another 15 to 20 years. It just wasn't going to work. So I actually bought rental property first. And then I discovered that I enjoyed the hunt. I hated being a landlord because I was way too nice and was trying to do the business of being a landlord on my own instead of having somebody professional handle that. So from there, it just kind of snowballed into, hey, I really like the hunt and the negotiation and the process of real estate and what we do the day to day. And like I said, I walked out of that chemical plant in April of 2007 at 35 years of age and went full time into real estate and doubled my income my first full year and never looked back. And I couldn't imagine at this point, doing anything else.
Awesome. And you said 15 years, 2007. Tell us, how did you double your business in 2008? Like what a year to double.
Honestly, the best thing that happened to me is I had a listing in 2007 that I couldn't sell. And I'm talking to my new broker, who's also the team leader, who runs the business. It's his company. 2008 in January, we're arguing back and forth about why this house isn't selling. And to his credit, he looks me dead in the eye and he was like, let me ask you a question. How many houses have you sold? And I'm stuttering and fluttering because, let's be honest, I hadn't accomplished a whole lot. And he's like, why are you arguing with me? It's like, my name is on the door. This is my team. And honestly, it's like the light came on. And I have ran with that ever since, that whether we like it or not, there are people that know more than we do. So listen to them. Now it's okay to get a second opinion if it's like my mechanic or the doctor or whatever. But at the end of the day, that was a hard lesson I had to learn because he was absolutely right. I've been full-time in this business 6 months. This guy runs his show big time. He's a big time agent, big time team leader, the whole 9 yards. And I'm standing here arguing with him. I'm like, what do I, So luckily I learned from that. And that really, propelled me to move forward and just pay attention to my mentors and pay attention to the team leader and learn from them. And then, take my own style away from that afterwards.
What is one thing you would tell yourself back before you made the jump that you wish was one thing you wish you knew then that you know now?
I would give you the other greatest piece of advice I ever got. I'm at a Remax convention in 2009, and I'm talking to this agent that at the time is, she's top of the heaps, getting all the awards. And I mentioned to her that I don't like talking about real estate. And she looks at me and she's like, "Well, do you like what you do?" She's like, "I absolutely love it." She's like, "If you don't tell people, then you can't do it anymore." And again, the light came on, because if I worked at Walmart, nobody ever has to know that I work at Walmart unless they see me there. I don't need to be on social media. I don't need to talk to people about what I do for a living. But whether I like it or not, I love what I do, which means I have to remind people, because people do forget and they all know other real estate agents. So again, that was probably the other big piece that I got, that I wish I had known that first year going in, that now I'll tell every young agent, you got, whether you like it or not, whether it's uncomfortable, you got to let people know what you do, because otherwise you ain't gonna keep doing it.
Don't be a secret agent, right? Jessica, what do you do to stay in front and have a referral based only business? Because I feel like a lot of agents, that's like the dream, right? Is to like never have to drag an open house sign. And I also wanted to point out too how much of a freaking how cool it is that you didn't even have a listing sign and you had closed all those deals. Like I think
Well, it's so funny. It's like I used to joke with my boss. I would be like, it should blow your mind how much I don't know. And I'm not bragging on that at all, because I'm big on like a learning posture. Like I have so many mentors and coaches, and my agents, like all my friends that I coach are like, you you should be a coach. Like you are a coach. Why do you have all these coaches? I'm like, I'll always have mentors that have, and like Bob said, whether you take their advice or not, like you can always learn something from people who've done it before you. And like, so my team that I was on, Kyle, I was raised up on that team, but I used to get so frustrated with like why he wouldn't do it this way. And it was, I really grew out of that team, but I didn't want to grow out of that team. And I was getting so frustrated with like, this is how it needs to be, but it's like, it's not my team. And finally it like hit me that like, go do it. My sister made a comment like, if you think you can do it better, go do it better. And it was just, family can really like get you.
oh
You're like, I
yeah.
will, and like that's the one thing that made me like take the leap. And so when I did, and when I quit, funny enough, like this is a weird story. Like my dad had passed and I quit. I bought a Sprinter van and I traveled for like a year. I was really going through something, and I still had clients call me and sold just as many houses on average as I had sold. And you think forever that like this is how you have to do business, right? Like I have to be responsive all the time. I have to answer my phone at 9 o'clock at night. And then all of a sudden you're like, wait, I don't have to do that and people still call me. Like, wait, you'll wait for me to call you back tomorrow? And it was like this, I really felt like we're like a faith-based business, and I really felt I had like a lot of nervous system, work to do. And I felt God being like, hey, you don't have to do business that way. Like you've loved people well, you treat people well. And that's always been my philosophy, right? Like you just give great service and love your people, and don't focus on, getting more leads and more leads. It's like love the lead you have and really focus on that, and they'll remember you. And I think everyone is so focused on more, 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 and then they forget people's home anniversaries. They forget to like really add value to the clients that they have. And so, and even I sometimes will notice myself, like we get so busy. And I read this book, Ruthless Elimination of Hurry, that really changed my life about, the dangers of just rushing everything and being in a hurry. And I mean, it changed my life about how we rush people. And so now that's one of my biggest things about being present and giving people, being patient and taking pressure off. And I think people remember, when you give them that time and space and presence, and they'll call you and they'll remember you. And it's all, and you never know, but when someone does call you like, hey, I'm ready to list my home, and you're like, oh, I haven't heard from them. It's so rewarding. It's like when you start getting that repeat business, it's like, and that's what happened to me. I kind of was like going through something. And I think when the people that you've invested in invest in you, when you're not, I'm marketing all the time, I have to be on social media, and you look at where your real ROI comes from. And like, I don't get leads from social media. I don't get, I have most of my leads are past clients and people that I keep up with, my relationships. So why would I invest in those things? And it's usually the comparison trap, because we see other people telling us to do it, and it doesn't, and it works for some people. And if you're just starting out in your career, it's really important. But for me, I just really invested hard early on, and I saw that pay off. So I was like, I'm just going to keep doing what's working, and I think if you're tracking what's actually working and what's not, some people might see like, oh, this could actually, there's another way to do business. Everything doesn't work for everybody.
Absolutely. And I think that's the biggest pitfall. And I think that's why the statistic for the agents, the first 2 years income is so low, is because you get into real estate and you have all of these sales calls, buy this lead, buy these leads. Like, it's not even just like online leads. Like, online leads is 30 different programs. And then you should do Facebook, and you do SEO, and you should be doing open houses, and you should be doing this. And it's just, at the end of the day, you need to start with connecting with your people.
And Jessica makes a great point that I also do a lot of referral business, and we do it completely differently, where Jessica comes from a supportive, nurturing style, because that's who she is, where I come from this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. This house is garbage. We're not buying this house, and this is why. So I come from that perspective, but it works for me and my business, and my people see that and refer me, and they let them know, hey, Bob's a little bit harder edged, but he's going to do a good job. So again, she's embraced who she is, and that's what works for her. And I think people need to agents need to understand that there is no one size fits all. At the end of the day, be true to who your personality is and who you are. That's why she does the referral business that she gets. That's why I do the referral business that I do, because people know that, okay, I may be a little bit loud, but I still feel passionate about what I'm doing. I just do it in a completely different way that Jessica does, but it works for both of us. It's just different style.
Yeah, and I think people don't teach that enough, that like your authenticity, like I think starting out, you want to please everybody, because you think like the ratio, like if I can make everybody happy, and I did it too. I like would wear the pantsuits, and I'm like, I gotta dress this way. And I just like, I walked awkwardly, and I'm like, this doesn't feel like me, but you're doing what you think you have to do in a professional world. And I really overcorrected. Like, I didn't know how to like crack a joke and be myself and be my own personality. I used to work in the bar business where like, my witty personality and everything worked for me. And then I was like, okay, don't say the first thing that comes to mind, right? It made me like awkward, because I was like, I don't want to say anything not professional, because I had a real Southern, my boss was like proper Southern Baptist. Like, and so, but then you realize that like, people are going to be in the car with you all day. It's like, you want people who are comfortable with you. They're talking about their finances, they're trusting you. And I heard a statistic at a Zillow conference, and it really stuck with me. And if I could tell agents anything, the first thing I have two big pillars, but one of the first is like, people look for two things in an agent: responsiveness and trust. And I was like, well, I'm very responsive. I'm like on call all the time. But the thing about trust is that people don't trust perfect. And I joked about it at the time, because I'm like, well, no wonder I'm doing so great. But the thing is like, when you come off like a yes man and a salesperson, it's like you're trying to sell them. But when you say like, hey, I think we can do better, I wouldn't buy this house, and you're honest and you care, you just can't, people feel that, and you put their needs in front of yours and you play the long game. You just can't fake that, and people will connect to that and know that like you have their best interest at heart. And I think that is securing the relationship over the sale, and you have to put that first. And so many people are just playing the short game because they're in sales, And I think if you really want to make this a career, you care about people and the relationship and you believe in home ownership and, buying the first house to get to the second house and you're honest, people will connect with that.
Absolutely. I love how you mentioned the comparison trap too, because that's all that sort of plays together, the comparison, the authenticity. There are so many freaking people in the world and they all need to buy houses and not everybody's going to like you. And I think that can be hard if you're kind of like a sales person and you get into real estate because you do want to do everything. Oh, I can help seniors and I help these people and I do investments and I do this and I do that. And then, yeah, no one really kind of trusts you because you can't really do much, that way.
A good point, because there's a lot of agents that are what I consider to be short-term thinkers, and they're one and done.
Mhm.
So but that's not really what you want. I want referrals. I want people that are going to be coming back to me or sending me their new coworkers and their friends and all of that, because they know that I'm take care of them and do a good job. And you want that long term, because let's be honest, a referral is all there's already a trust built in, because you went and helped Tammy and Joe buy their house, and they're going to help them. Most people, whether we like it or not, are only going to buy 3 or 4 houses in their lifetime. This is serious business. We joke about it, and social media tells us that everybody's buying houses and flipping property and all of that. But your average consumer, your average friend, is only buying 2 or 3, maybe 4 properties in a lifetime.
Right.
So they need to be able to trust your real estate agent, because what we do is important. Whether anybody, regardless of the threshold in this industry, what we do is important, and you need somebody that you can count on and trust and rely on to tell you the truth, and not just tell you, okay, well, go ahead and buy the property. Because we all have worked with clients that did not call their first real estate agent back because they bought something they never should have bought, or it had problems, or didn't stay in touch, and just quite honestly wasn't very good. My first agent, when I bought my house, before I ever became a real estate agent, is still in the industry. She does about 4 deals a year and doesn't know her ass from a hole in the ground. And those are facts. But she's still around, but she's also not very good. And I learned from her mistakes when I became a real estate agent, and made a conscious decision that I was not going to act that way.
I think it's
And
something like 80% of agents don't call their clients after they buy a house.
89% of people don't use the same realtor twice.
Dang.
Because it's
Yeah,
like,
see?
That's crazy.
and I'll see how updated that is, but it's like, I think it was like, or 88 or 89, because it was like, because they don't remember who they are, number one. Yeah, they don't keep up with them. And yeah, that's why I'm really big on education, because the market is so flooded. And I mean, number one, it's an honor everyone knows so many agents, right? So it's an honor to be chosen, but also it's a burden, because you're like, I'm responsible and you should feel that way. So people who just don't know, things about inspection and cost and really help their clients. What sucks is that after the transaction's closed, if there is an issue, it falls on the client. And, sometimes the agent, it's like people vote with their feet, right? They rarely will come back to you and give you that feedback. They pay for it, and if you're lucky, you get it and you get the chance to make it right, and hopefully pay for it monetarily, and you never make that mistake again if you're lucky, and you'll learn from it. But a lot of people don't. They just move on unknowingly, and then another client may end up paying for it. And so it's sad how little training. You just can wake up, the bar is so low, and be like, I want to be a real estate agent, and take a test, and you're like, I'm an expert, and you're like, no, 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 you're not an expert. I'm very careful, and there's just always stuff to learn. It's it's constantly a learning experience. I'm sure Bob will tell you.
Oh yeah.
You never do the same deal twice, right? Like everything's always different. And that was a big thing. I'm getting certified to teach the 2024 ACU update courses to agents and for the state of Colorado. So I took the training through Dora. And one of the biggest things they went through was competence. Because as the market's been sort of shifting and agents are starting to go out of their realm of expertise, because it's just a different 3% rates are different than 7. Like it just is, it's become a huge thing. And I think that you don't have to be worried about your competency if you come from this mindset that Jessica and Bob have, like where I'm just always learning. I'm still gonna come. I don't know everything, but I will help you because I still know more than you, right? Because just having that license does qualify you to sell real estate per the state, and the government knows best, totally. So, right. So that alone is what you need, but you're qualifying. But then having that, like, I'm always going to be learning, I'm always going to be in this industry. And that's what I tell a lot of my leads too. I'm like, hey, if you're not ready right now, I'm going to be doing this till I die. You have a really long time to make a decision. Like,
Yeah.
just let me know.
Well, and I love the quote, there's no substitute for experience, right? Like the more deals you do, the more you learn. And so you have to love the experience, even the ones you learn from. Like, even when there's like a hard problem or we mess something up, I'm like, I get excited because I'm like, this has never happened in my career, 9 years. I'm like, finally, something new. How do we solve this problem, right?
Yeah.
And it's something new you can put in your training manual that you're like, when in the history will this ever happen to someone, but it's happened to me and I can, look for it in the future. But also there's a near enemy concept that Brene Brown has in her HBO special about grounded confidence. And she talks about near enemies and how, you know, what looks like grounded confidence is being a knower, like a prover and know it all. And I think a lot of new agents want to feel like they know the answer and they have it and they're the loudest in the room and the first to answer. But real grounded confidence is being a learner, and you listen and you absorb and you're always asking questions and you're the last to speak and you really listen to what your clients say. And I think I love that concept because what she says is being a learner or having grounded confidence and being a learner says, I'm not here to be right, I'm here to get it right. And I think that's so important as an agent. Like, if you're here to get it right and not get them in a house, but get them in the right house, and not just say, yeah, I think that's right, but be like, let me go find the answer. Like, I'm pretty sure that's right, but I don't think people always feel comfortable telling a client like, hey, let me double check on that, because it may like shatter their like, and it's like, but what could it hurt to triple check or make sure that you're sure? It's like a big transaction. You should know things about structure and cost and everything like that. And so I think it's just so important to get it right, and it helps everyone involved.
No, I would agree with that. And I think that's a big part of listening, which is what we do. And I actually, when I hear agents that are showing property to the same client and it's 15, 25, 30 properties, okay, you're not listening to what is being said. A lot of times I can get
So
a
good.
client into a property essentially the first day, maybe the second day, where, okay, we're under 5 properties because I've paid attention and I've listened. And I won't tell them that I think this is the house until after the fact. But that's one of my greatest things that I like to do is, like, I know they're going to love this house, and I bring them into the house and then they love it. And this is the one we want. Do what you got to do to make it happen. That's a great feeling because I know that I've listened and paid attention and I got it done. And if you're showing multiple properties 9 out of 10 times, you're not listening to what the client is telling you. You're just not, most of the time.
Yeah, I always say there's a difference between a showing agent and a buyer's agent.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
great
And on the listing side, it's just, there's a lot of that, to where it's a matter of, it's not about the magic marketing and all of that. It's coming in and going, this is what your house is worth, whether you want to hear that or not. If you live in a cookie cutter neighborhood and the houses are priced between 250 and 275, guess what? Your house is worth between 250 and 275. I don't care how many children you raised here, that doesn't add value to the property. It is what it is. And it's important on that end that people hear those truths and that knowledge, and you can show them, okay, well, this is what we're going to do and this is how we're going to get it done.
I always like to ask about morning routines. I've been a morning routine person since I got in. I read The Miracle Morning with my big red brokerage and all that good stuff. So I'm into, I like to jumpstart the days. Do you guys do anything specific for in your mornings to get ready and get in the mind in the game?
Bob?
Okay. I'm starting on that one. Honestly, I do not have a morning routine. And to be quite honest, my morning routine has changed over the years. When I was younger and we had the boys, then it was get them up, get them ready for school, things of that nature. And then from that point on, realistically, I had 2 heart attacks and a quadruple bypass in 2018. So my morning routine is I'm going to sleep in a little bit, and if I'm having a bad health day, well then I'm going to take a nap and take a break. I work when I feel good. I make phone calls when I feel good, and I don't really have a morning routine, and it works for me to not have a morning routine, quite honestly. It just doesn't.
Well, you probably have some sort of routine, but it's just not structured. Like you wake up or get coffee, or you kind of
It's
do.
wake up, you get coffee, turn the phone back on, check emails, stuff like that. But there's nothing, let's be honest, for the most part, unless we're not a heart or a brain surgeon, there ain't nothing that important that needs to get done before 9 a.m. It's just not. We like to think that there is, but realistically, there's not. So I honest to God, I really don't have that much of a morning routine because I've found over the years that I work better without a morning routine. And again, that's just, when I'm the type of person that I'll, text and call clients or past clients at, 7:30, 8 o'clock at night on a random Tuesday just to say hello. And then if I have anything that I structurally want to do or have to do, I do it when I'm at my most motivated. So calling back leads, if I'm getting leads on a particular property, calling those back when I feel good, when I'm awake, when I'm upbeat, when my health is good. Because as well as I do, calling somebody when you're not in the best frame of mind doesn't do you any good. You're not helping them at all. And if
Can't
anything,
pour from an empty cup.
yeah, you just can't.
Mhm.
So I've never really been a strict morning routine guy. It just doesn't work for me.
You just hanging out in the morning, which is fine. And I like to ask that question just because everybody's totally different. We had one guy who gets in an ice bath at 4 a.m. I'm like, oh my God, like that.
3 in the morning, Megan.
3, that's right. Yeah, like that's
No,
and
not gonna.
yeah, I told him, I'm like, you did never bring me anywhere near an ice bath at any point in the day.
I'm willing
Yeah.
to bet that guy says he gets an ice bath at 3 a.m, but he doesn't. I'm just kidding.
And I will
More
say
like 5.
He's
almost,
very passionate about it.
and
Hey,
you
I
gotta,
love a good cold plunge.
almost dying repeatedly will kind of change your mindset a little bit too. So there's a
Right.
lot less.
Sure.
I don't worry as much about quote unquote routines and stuff like that. I'm happy to be alive and doing what I'm doing. So, that's the only routine I need is waking up in the morning.
I love it.
The first thing I like to do is respond to everyone that called me at 8 a.m. on the dot and say, "What's wrong with you?" Just text everyone.
Everybody remember, tomorrow we all text Jessica at 8 a.m.
Yes.
You know those people that call you like they're just waiting. I'm like, how long have you been up waiting to call me at 8 o'clock? There's like 8:01.
Yeah.
And you're like, what?
Megan texted us at 4:45 this
I-
morning.
I wake up early, but I have a baby and I'm pregnant
I
and
know.
a toddler.
You
So
know
like,
what?
It was
I always
actually
laugh.
gaps.
I
Well,
got
people with
that.
people with kids, I always laugh because when we're doing showings, the first thing I ask is when we talk about best showing times, I'm like, when is nap time? And it's like that's what you schedule around, right?
yes.
When's nap time?
Right.
And my mentor, he's like private equity guy, but he's like, my first thing, I was like, when do you go to the gym? And he
Yep.
started laughing because he like mentioned that's his like main thing. He's like, wow, you do listen. I was like, look, I know what's important.
Yeah.
Either your gym schedule, your like routine, or it's nap time. And that's really like all
The killer of life.
I just, because if I get up at 4, my daughter doesn't get up until about 6. So I get like 2 good solid hours of
That's,
uninterrupted.
yeah. That's so important.
You know, I'm learning, when I went off the deep end and bought the Sprinter van, right? And I traveled and I was like, I was really structured. I do, like I said, a lot of nervous system work because like you say, when you're in the zone, I'm either like, I can get 100 things done in a day. And I'm like, everyone get out of my way. I'm faster, stronger, smart, slowing me down. And I'm like in the zone, or I'm relaxed and one thing. I had to do today. I'm like, how did I forget the one thing? So I'm trying to get better at like, um, being more flexible, like going like, okay, I have the morning off. Cause when you work from home, remote or like real estate, you're always working. You work on the weekend. So you have like a Tuesday off. You take a call, you know, your assistant will call you with a problem right as you're going into like a relaxing your day off, getting acupuncture. And then they're like, oh my gosh, it's like some terrible issue. And you're like, panicking. And so I'm trying to get better at like not letting something derail my day. So morning routines, yeah, have not worked. It's like trying to just take that time out of the day to like, I can come back from this because things used to derail my whole day and I would just complain about it all day or you're on the phone. And so I've just have a couple more like rules. Like I have a little, my morning routine took up so much time. So for me, I have a night routine. Me and my friend have a little accountability app, like, and I can see each other's like things. And we do like the top 3 things that we have to get done the next day. And we put them in this app the night before. And we like plan, because I feel like if you wake up and you haven't planned for the day, you're just reacting all day. And if
Absolutely.
I don't wake up knowing exactly what I need to do, I don't even get in the zone till like noon.
Mhm.
It's so
By
cool that you have that accountability too with somebody
yeah,
else.
it's Notion.
that?
I'm obsessed with Notion. And
Notion.
it's
That's
like
where
you
I
can,
keep my database.
yes, I do everything in
love
Notion. And I have a great course that has like your priorities. My friend Ernesto, it has like priorities and it'll teach you how to put your database, your playbooks and everything. And he has all these templates and it's just plug and play. And I just did it and I'm obsessed with it, like your pipeline. And then I have it all on a dashboard and even my habit tracker is in the dashboard
Wow.
because it's just as important as your work, your private life, like your personal stuff. Anyone working, you know, from home and you're responsible, you're your own boss. And it's like, what kind of boss do you want to be to yourself? You know, you got to take care of your health. And I think it's very easy in real estate when everything's on a deadline to get derailed from your day and you put yourself last. You know, you're like, I didn't eat well how I wanted to. I didn't make it to the gym because you take a client call. And so I've had to quit answering the phone, like calling people back on my dedicated times and turning off notifications. I haven't had notifications on my phone for like a year, which would blow anyone in real estate's mind. But you're also like, what is actually an emergency? Like Bob said, even before 8 or 9. But if you wait and check it when you want to check it, there's rarely anything if you plan and you prepare right. And it teaches you to set great boundaries and ways to be more prepared. But I have no notifications for like, I don't answer calls, but none for text on my phone. And I haven't for almost a year. Which is probably really wild to people, but it really helps, you know, like
Yeah,
that's my routine. Those are my
guess-
rules.
I haven't heard anyone else mention Notion either, other than Amanda. So that was kind of cool to hear that because
I want them to sponsor me this next year.
I
Amanda,
see, I'm a freak about it too. And everyone was like, what is it? And
you're gonna die. If you saw my dashboard that my assistant made, you'd be like, I want it, send it to me. It's like this.
I was just going to say you should send it to me anyway.
Yeah, it has like a little timer where I can do 25 minutes on and off of work and your like habit tracker for the week of all your like read and you know, all the things you want to do daily, like going to the gym and drinking enough water. Like remember
Notion,
to
if
be
you want to give
good.
us all free accounts for a year for all this press, like just let us know.
And they do, they have a 6-month thing for small businesses, just
Ooh.
FYI. Shout out. Notion sponsor us.
Awesome. As we sort of draw to an end, is there anything else that you would give advice wise to agents, maybe who are struggling to sort of get going, agents who are kind of newer in the business? And then let us know where we can find you and get a hold of you, whether that be your website, your number, your Facebook, what have you.
Jessica. get you back.
Well, my website is www.tourproperties, TOUR, and you can find me there. And I would say getting into it, I mean, I think real estate, I never had we help, which is popular for some, a lot of first time home buyers. But I didn't really believe in home ownership. I never really had a stable home growing up. We moved around a lot. And so I think what home ownership can do for the average family is amazing, like having equity and security in that. And so I think if you really focus on it for the mission and you believe in it, and you really can't do anything sustainably long term for the money, you know? And so if you love helping people, and whether it be investing or anything like that, it's going to be great. And you love learning about it. And I got into it to learn how to do it. And I love helping other people with what I know. So it's never easy in the beginning, but if you put in the work to build over time, it's a great career and very fulfilling. So yeah, thank you guys for having me. I love talking about it for sure.
Thanks for hopping on and chatting with us. All right, Bob.
So they can get a hold of me typically on Facebook or LinkedIn and Bob the Agent. If you just type that in, it'll pop up, both my personal and my quote unquote business page. Also, they can always call me 757-403-5401. I'm weird. I actually still answer the phone. I know a lot of agents don't. Yes, I probably get more than my fair share of spam calls at first, and then I get them knocked out. But I like answering the phone. I've gotten a lot of business from answering the phone. I know that's maybe counter to what the thought process is in this day and age, but to me, it's a simple thing to do. Just answer the phone. And it takes 2 seconds to answer and 2 seconds to hang up. So speaking of which, I got an automated call from a real estate company earlier today and drove me up the wall. You're going to recruit me, but you're going to send me an AI messenger. How is that recruiting anybody? You know, in terms of for young agents, I think what it comes down to, and I say it over and over again, is be yourself. Yes, the scripts are a guideline. Okay, use them as a guideline, but still you got to put your own inflection, your own personality, your own everything. At the end of the day, be who you're supposed to be who you are with your own personal friends and family, and you will get way further faster, and you will last a whole lot longer. You cannot be a cookie cutter agent. It will not work. It may work short term if you're somebody's feeding you leads, but you will never be an individual agent responsible for your own income and your own referrals until you become your own person. And I think a lot of agents miss that. And I think a lot of agents get stuck working on teams because they don't know how to create their own business and their own referrals. And I don't mean spend a bunch of money for Zillow and Market Leader and all the other stuff. Let's be honest, anybody can do that. You know, I could spend my way to the top of the food chain in a heartbeat. But the fact of the matter is, you want referral business. That's where you should always be focused on. That's why there's so many agents that they may do a lot of business, but not make a whole lot of money because maybe their splits aren't that good because they don't know how to create a proper referral business, which is be who you are, be yourself.
Yeah. And to add to that, secondary to obviously you want to love what you do, but it is being yourself. I do think you just attract the right people. You know, there's so many people in the world, and nothing is sustainable if you're not being authentic to who you are. And you'll just have the best clients that way, the best referral based business. And I'd like to note, I do answer the phone. That also too. I don't not answer my people, but the responsiveness and no one trusts perfect. Those are the two things, like in Zillow, like is so true that people look for in an agent. Like you do have to answer. Like I hate when people don't answer, but you have to, like, people will just move on to the next immediately. Like we're just in that day and age where you have to be, you know, responsive to people. And then obviously, you know, being yourself, those two things are, I think Bob said it and I said it earlier on, but I think those are the top two things that people look for.
Yeah, and I think Jessica and I are proof of that because we are completely different mindsets and people in terms as I'm walking, I'm running around like a crazy spider monkey, and Jessica's kind of sitting back and being mellow and doing her thing. We have our own styles that fit us and makes our people happy, and that at the end of the day, that's all that matters because we are authentic. Whether I may not be everybody's cup of tea. And there may be people that, may not have Jessica as their cup of tea, but she's built a strong referral business. I've built a strong referral business because at the end of the day, we are authentically who we are. And that's what really matters.
And the more authentic you are, the more you're sort of putting that out there for your like-minded people to find you. The more you become, you find more people who appreciate and want that. And then the people who aren't supposed to be with you, kind of go away. I love that, you guys. This has been an awesome conversation. I love it. If you need real estate in Virginia, Bob is your guy. If you're in Tennessee, you want to hit up Jessica. And yeah, thanks for having us, and we'll see you guys.
Thank you guys.
Thanks for having me. I enjoyed it. I'm here if you guys need anything in the future.